Have you ever believed so strongly, as if what you asked for had already happened, and then the miracle came true? Or perhaps your faith was strong, but events took an entirely different turn. Faith is a word everyone talks about today, but what does it truly mean? What is the difference between blind faith and conscious faith? We often hear about it, but we don't always understand the depth behind those words. That's why we turn to the primary source, the Bible. It is there that we find answers capable of revealing the true power of faith to you. These 10 biblical quotes about faith are not just inspiring, they have the potential to radically transform your reality. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Put on your headphones. Clear your mind and forget everything you thought you knew about faith. Be like a blank sheet of paper and just listen. Imagine standing in a desert with nothing but sand and sky in front of you. Everything looks hopeless, but you believe that somewhere far away, there is an oasis where you can find water. That belief is not based on what you see, but on what you feel deep in your heart. This is how the famous chapter about faith in the Epistle to the Hebrews begins. The Apostle Paul writes about the heroes of faith, those who were willing to endure incredible trials because they believed in God's promises. Their faith became the foundation of their hopes, even when circumstances seemed insurmountable. Faith becomes the assurance that, although we do not see everything, God is near, and His promises are real. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Hebrews 11:1. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So what does it mean to believe in the unseen? And how strong must faith be? How do we measure it? If you can believe, all things are possible to him who believes. One day, a desperate father came to Jesus. His son was possessed by a demon, and no one could heal him. The father turned to Jesus with a plea, "If you can do anything, help us." Jesus replied that everything depends on faith. At that moment, as the father wavered between doubt and hope, Jesus spoke powerful words. "If you can believe, all things are possible to him who believes." The father then cried out, not asking for healing for his son, but saying, "Help my unbelief." In other words, he asked Jesus to strengthen his faith. Jesus cast out the demon and healed the young man. Faith is not just an abstract idea. It is a force that changes the course of events, but it is essential that when you ask for healing, you first pray for the strengthening of your faith that it is possible, and only then for the miracle itself. Because everything, absolutely everything, is possible for the one who believes. The phrase, "according to your faith be it unto you," appears in the Bible, specifically in the Gospel of Matthew chapter 9, verse 29. In this passage, Jesus speaks these words when two blind men approach him, asking to be healed. Jesus asks them, "Do you believe that I am able to do this?" And when they affirm their faith, he responds, "According to your faith be it unto you." At that moment, their eyes are open. This phrase underscores a profound truth. Miracles happen in direct proportion to the faith of the one who asks. It highlights that faith is not just a belief, but a vital key to receiving God's grace. The third essential biblical truth about faith is as follows. If you have faith as a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, "Move from here to there," and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. Matthew 17:20. Once Jesus encountered his apostles who felt powerless to help someone in need. They were confused and overwhelmed. Jesus explained that their faith was too small. He said that if they had faith even as tiny as a mustard seed, they could perform miracles. A mountain that seemed enormous and immovable would vanish. This metaphor showed that even a small amount of faith can achieve great things. What matters is not the size of your faith, but your trust in God's power. Jesus often spoke of faith as small as a mustard seed. This analogy is incredibly precise, as a mustard seed is only about 3 millimeters in size, but grows into a plant that can reach 1 meter in just a year. For example, in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 17, verse 6, Jesus says, "If you have faith as a mustard seed, you can say to this mulberry tree, 'Be pulled up by the roots and be planted in the sea,' and it would obey you." Jesus frequently taught about the power of faith through simple yet profound examples from daily life. He showed that even small acts of faith can lead to extraordinary outcomes. Faith is not synonymous with words like hope or wait. Faith is always active. It acts on what it believes. Here's a simple example. Imagine you lose your keys but are certain they are somewhere at home. So you believe that they are right there. You don't see them, but you're looking for them, meaning you're taking action. Sometimes it happens that you don't find them right away, but in 90 cases out of 100, the keys are found fairly quickly. You don't sit in a chair waiting for the keys to magically appear on the table or in the lock. You take action based on your belief. This is what it means to act when you believe. Jesus speaks of this kind of faith in John 20:29. Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed. After his resurrection, Jesus appeared to his disciples. However, Thomas refused to believe he had risen until he saw the wounds. When Jesus showed him, Thomas realized the truth and believed. But Jesus said, "Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." Faith based on trust and confidence is more powerful than any proof. He blessed those who believe without seeing. Faith rooted in trust and confidence proves to be stronger than any evidence. The Apostle Paul, whose life was filled with trials, also spoke much about faith. For example, he wrote that faith, not sight, is what guides us forward, for we walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5:7. Faith means moving forward even when the situation is unclear or the path seems challenging. It is about trusting that God is leading you, even if you don't understand all the details. In his epistle to the Romans, Paul emphasized that faith comes from hearing, so then faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. Romans 10:17. When Paul wrote this phrase, he emphasized how important it is to hear the word of God in order to strengthen one's faith. At that time, many people were unable to read, and the word of God was spread orally through sermons. Paul explained that faith comes through what we hear and accept in our hearts. The pure and sincere word of God has the power to transform a person's life. It does not simply convey information, but inspires and instills confidence that God is always near. But is there room for doubt and faith? The Bible answers this as well. And now, we're about to share it with you. But before we do, make sure to subscribe. We'll continue to release videos based solely on original sources as often as possible to inspire and support you. But let him ask in faith with no doubting. Durham. James 1:6. James warned believers that doubts weaken the power of prayer. He explained that if a person asks God for something, they must trust that God will answer. Doubt makes prayer ineffective because faith is its foundation. When a person doubts, they are like a wave tossed by the wind, and their prayer loses its power. It is crucial to approach prayer with complete confidence that God will respond. Here lies one of the greatest truths. Faith is a state of the heart, not the mind. The heart must be free from doubt. If doubts arise, they come from the mind. Faith, without which it is impossible to please God, as stated in Hebrews chapter 11, must be pure and sincere. Both the righteous of the Old Testament, like Abraham and others, and Christian ascetics did not overcomplicate their faith. They reverently accepted what was revealed to them from above. They felt in their hearts the holiness and truth of what was given to them and endured everything destined by the Lord with joy. They believed that without God, they could not take even a single step. They trusted that God, our Father, sees all, knows all, and arranges everything for the best as long as we remain obedient to His law. Without faith, it is impossible to please God, for whoever comes to God must believe that He exists and that He rewards those who earnestly seek Him. Faith is not merely knowledge about God, but the deepest trust that He exists and that He will reward those who sincerely seek Him. Without this trust in God, it is impossible to please Him. This demonstrates that faith is not just a formal acknowledgement, but a genuine life lived in a relationship with God, based on our belief in His essence and power. But why does humanity need faith at all? This question is answered in the 10th biblical truth. In the first epistle of John, it is written, "For everyone born of God overcomes the world. This is the victory that has overcome the world, our faith." 1 John 5:4. John explains that victory over the world is possible through faith. The world often tries to overwhelm us with its temptations and trials, but those who believe in God overcome every obstacle. This victory is not merely about overcoming difficulties, but affirming that our faith in God gives us the strength to conquer everything the world may throw at us. Faith is not just a belief, it is a real force that transforms us and our world. In each of these scriptures, faith appears as the key to incredible possibilities and great miracles that can occur in our lives when we fully trust God. Faith is not only a conviction, but an active force that changes our reality. If any of these biblical truths resonate with your soul, remember, biblical truths can be listened to repeatedly, and with each listening, their meaning unfolds in new, deeper ways. If you enjoyed the video, let us know by giving it a like. And if you want to see our channel grow, make sure to subscribe. This way you won't miss any of our new videos. Leave your feedback in the comments and we'll see you again on the Dogma channel.